Hello friends and welcome to our next video on triggers. And now in this video we'll try to create a small trigger to check for a duplicate value and to prevent duplicate entries of a particular value on basis of particular value. Now there could be multiple ways to achieve the same thing. Okay, we do have apps in Salesforce App Exchange for deduplication and all, and even if you go for trigger, so there could be a number of logics for achieving the same thing. Okay, so it totally depends on developer to developer, no matter whatever coding we do. Okay, some people use list, some will use map, some will not use anything, they have other things to do. So it totally depends on developer to developer that how do they achieve these things. Whatever you study in my course, do not take this as that something that this is you need to achieve this by this rule only. This course is for understanding what triggers are. Okay, but if I tell you that to achieve the same thing, you can, like for example, that code I am writing in a trigger, same code could be written in a class and that could be called. For example, let me show you. See, so if I have trigger, so what you can do, you can create a class and you can create a method. If you go to my notes and attachment PDF file, you will see there's something known as context variables. So if your trigger is written on multiple events, so if trigger dot is before and trigger dot is insert, something of this sort, then you call a different method of the class. Again, if trigger dot is before and trigger dot is update, might be need some other functionality, so you have created that class and let's say my class dot method 1. Either you can write that logic here, okay, or maybe you can write that logic in the class. You create separate method for separate events, and by using these context variable you can call different methods at different places. For update you have some other conditions, so you do here method 2. Okay, who knows, so either you can write that code here itself or you can write the code in a class in a method and you call different methods as per different, or maybe you have something by maybe your trigger is also firing on after insert or after update. If trigger dot is after, then you might need to perform some other logic, so you call a different method. Okay, and it's always a good practice, not only good practice, it is a recommended and standard practice that you should have only one trigger on one object. Creating multiple triggers can cause issues when your Salesforce implementation increases. When you are starting to build your Salesforce implementation, you might write 3 4 triggers in an object, but as your Salesforce increases, as your users increases, as you're writing more and more code, you are implementing more and more functionality, so that might start creating issues. So always ensure that you write one trigger on Salesforce. Let's say you want to do something before and you want to do something after, so you can write everything in one trigger, and by making use of these context variables you can bifurcate your code into different sections. Okay, now let's talk about our trigger. Let's say we want to create a trigger on contact and we don't want a duplicate record. Now we need to specify an identifier that on which basis will we identify that this is a duplicate record. A good thing could be an email. So an email ID can be a unique thing to identify that if a person, a contact is again inserted by the same email ID, this means they both are the same person. Okay, two different person cannot have same email ID. So we can create a trigger on contact or any custom object or any standard object, okay, based on any unique field which you want. Trigger check email on contact, and we want that record not to be inserted if it is duplicate, so we will fire it before insert. Okay, now let's iterate over the list contact c colon trigger dot new. Or if you want to go for more good practice, what you can do, You can create a list of contact and assign the trigger.new to that list in one go and use that list everywhere. Or maybe you can create an array. Contact C equals to trigger.new. Okay, and here you can use this. Okay, maybe C list, and C list could be used instead of trigger.new everywhere in the code now. Okay, then because we need unique email, so what we can do, as I told you in a previous lecture, one of the lectures about collections, that set they contain unique things. Okay, so what you can do, set email set equals to new set. Okay, so email set, this is one more of the way to declare a set. Dot add c dot email. Okay, so what we have done, all new records which are being inserted, we have added their email IDs to email set. Okay, so it also takes care of the bulkification. Here, now what we will do, we will query the existing record to see if we find a match. So let's say we create a new list by name of duplicate email or something. So what we can do, we can simply write a list duplicate email equals to select c dot email from contact where c dot email in this set. Okay, in email list. But right now we don't know whether we have found a match or not. We are just querying from contact C. Okay, we have queried and we have created a list. Let me improve the spelling of this. Okay, so we have created a list and where we have queried email, where email exists in this email set. So we still don't know that whether we have that or not. So what we will do, we'll create another set of duplicate email. Now we can iterate over this loop. Contact C. Here we will come to know that whether we have found the match or not. Okay, and what we will do, we will add these new email which we have found into our new set. Okay, now what we can do, we can again iterate over our this list, C list. And now we will check if we have a match between both the sets or not. So if duplicate email ID, okay, dot contains, if it contains the original email ID, then we can simply add an error there. Okay, so here what we are doing, we are checking into this set, does this duplicate email ID set contains email which are of new record. So CList is what? CList contains the new record and duplicate email ID contains all old record. So if old record contains an email ID which is in the new list, we can simply add an error here, c dot add error email already exist, or the record with this email already exists. Okay, So in this way, we can create a small trigger to check for duplicate email IDs on any particular record. Okay. So hope you were able to understand the concept. This was all for the video. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care. Bye bye. All the best.